Welcome to Oppenheimer. The movie's almost 3 hours long, so you better leave a like on this video. Oppenheimer begins with this guy from the Peaky Blinders staring at water and daydreaming about blowing stuff up. And let me just explain this to you in the best way possible, alright? This is a very complicated movie. You see, it's not in sequential, or should I say, it's not in chronological order. So like a lot of the time during the movie, like it just skips through past, present, and sometime during the past and the present. So it's very confusing. But I've arranged this in a way that y'all can understand the story. Oppenheimer starts in Europe and he's having a really hard time, so he decides he wants to kill his professor. Yep, totally normal. Anyhow, so he meets this guy who tells him to go to Germany in order to study physics and kind of get like a whole montage. Bro's really taking this seriously. And then we cut back to another irrelevant scene that we will just ignore. For now, of course. This is one of those time jumps I told you about. We'll get to it later. Anyhow, Oppenheimer finishes his studies in Europe and returns to America in order to teach quantum mechanics because no one takes it seriously, but he wants to change that. So it turns out that Oppenheimer has been in contact with communists, which was kind of sus for Americans back then, and something you should definitely take note of because they really hated communists. Anyhow, so things begin to get serious when German physicists split the uranium nucleus, and if you know anything about radioactivity, this means mom. So basically, the race began to find out who could make it first: the Soviets, the Americans, or the Germans. Some more relevant scenes: Oppenheimer meets his wife. He decides to stop openly associating with communists because it's a bad idea, and it's a bad idea. We get one of those relevant time jumps that we'll just ignore for now, and get back to the Manhattan Project, where Oppenheimer and Colonel Groves gather all of America's top physicists and their families to the middle of nowhere to make and test the atomic bomb before the Germans do. They legit build a town, so trust me, like they took this seriously. This thing cost like $2 billion, so like, despite the fact that they could potentially destroy the Earth, like. No one's going back now. Come on, this is $2 billion. Like, yeah, we get back to testing of the bomb in order to find out how far away they need to be. Yeah, and start assembling the actual thing. You know the story. Japan don't want to surrender. Meaning the American troops can't leave. Meaning that they want to know where they should attack Japan twice. So we skip to the actual bomb testing, and it works. So well, they know they have a bomb, and the rest is history. You see now the truth. All right, yes. So now it's time to get to the truth of the Oppenheimer drama. All right. So basically, the reason Oppenheimer is being interrogated is because of charges laid against him to the FBI by this guy named Borden, who, for some weird reason, had access to Oppenheimer's file, which he wasn't supposed to because he doesn't work for government. So who gave him the file? Which means somebody that works for government gave him the file. This person was actually Admiral Louis Strauss. And, after the A-bomb incident, Oppenheimer became very famous and influential. Strauss did not. And, this bred a bit of tension between the two parties. This tension reached a climax when Oppenheimer expressed evident dislike of Strauss's views on national security, namely mass production of nuclear weapons and also pertaining to the development of the hydrogen bomb. See, yeah, now that really pissed Strauss off, so he wanted to shut Oppenheimer down. So, he went into cahoots with Borden, gave him all of Abi's file, which he was able to have access to because he worked for government at that time. So, he told Borden to write a report to the FBI and, arranged a meeting with the ADC in order to cross-examine Oppenheimer's credibility, of course, laying claim to his communist associations during the war. And, it kind of worked. However, the issue was this one scientist guy found out and exposed Strauss rather publicly. We are then left with Strauss losing and Abi winning. And that's pretty much where the movie ends. Apart from this weird scene, where Oppenheimer and Einstein are talking, and it was a very long movie. I feel like it didn't hit as hard as Barbie, and it was a bit difficult to understand. Like, I'm really surprised I got this in like under 8 minutes. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10.